Well, it was very shocking.
Linda Jacobs found out from this postcard that she has 2 outstanding arrest warrants from the Houston area.
I call this phone number and they start talking about some hot checks that I wrote at Kroger.
The Kroger stores in question were in Harris County, far away from her house in Garland.
No, I don't like grocery shopping that much that I get up and drive 500 miles round trip to buy groceries.
Last September, thieves had somehow gained access to her personal information, then placed it on bogus checks and went shopping.
Well, it was very confusing.
96-year-old Angie Carden has a similar story. After getting out of the hospital last July, Carden's bank questioned her about a check for nearly $1,000 written at a Walmart in Kansas.
I just said I'd never been in Kansas but one time. It was 30 years ago.
Thieves had somehow previously gained access to Carden's checking account number and created their own checks with her information on it. Carden and Jacobs represent classic cases of identity theft. But what's new, experts say, is that some retailers are inadvertently allowing the identity thieves to get away with their crimes.
It's a flaw in the system.
Detectives tell CBS 11 some retailers' policies and other changes to the banking system in the past decade have made it more difficult to catch thieves. Here's why. Some stores, including Walmart, treat checks as electronic debits. So when you give the check to the cashier, instead of keeping it, the cashier gives the check right back. And if the identity thief has the check, police say the suspects are taking the evidence that detectives could use to catch them.
What we're allowing folks to do now is walk away with that evidence, the fingerprints, the instrument that was used, where in a robbery, it's almost like, we know you've robbed the store, we're going to let you wipe all the prints and everything down and now walk out so we can't find you.
Walmart doesn't take a visual scan of the checks, which would allow customers to see a copy of them in their monthly bank statements. Stores like Kroger do take a visual scan of the checks. But police say there's another problem. They point to Check 21, a system set up by the Federal Reserve in 2004 to clear checks faster. While customers receive scanned copies of them, in most cases, the original checks are destroyed. That means police can't dust the checks for fingerprints, and they say that has affected how many fraud cases they're able to solve.
We don't see as many of those coming to us because of the lack of that evidence.
The American Bankers Association says check fraud is growing. Last year, check fraud cost banks alone more than $1 billion.
Dear sir.
Norma Reynolds is Angie Carden's daughter. She was so angry about what happened to her mother, she wrote a letter to Walmart's CEO.
These thieves see your company as a place where they can easily commit fraudulent acts and are difficult to catch.
In a statement to CBS 11, a Walmart spokeswoman says its electronic check system has helped us significantly reduce the number of fraudulent checks in recent years. When a customer attempts to purchase goods with a check at one of our stores, we use a third-party verification system to validate the check. Dennis Simmons agrees the electronic check debits have helped reduce fraud. Simmons is CEO of the Southwest Automatic Clearinghouse Association in Dallas, a trade organization that in part governs electronic check conversions.
The upside of it is that it's automated, it clears much faster, so the returns come back much faster, so the merchant and their check authorization companies know much more quickly when these bad guys are out there.
Simmons says of the 480 million electronic check debits last year nationwide, only 100,000 were bogus.
The emotional trauma of dealing with all this has been very taxing on her.
Let's go on a walk.
In Linda Jacobs' case, the thieves made it even more difficult for Kroger to contact her because while they wrote Jacobs' correct street address on the bogus checks, they wrote the wrong city. After receiving the postcard, Jacobs contacted Kroger.
Once we learned through the person that it was a fraudulent check, then certainly all the charges were dropped. But this was a little unusual.
Jacobs' name was finally cleared, but not until after weeks of frustration.
Well, it's an additional part-time job.